cheating! Turn light to dark! Get my own way! Get my own way!
Welcome back, fans of horror. Today, we're exploring the twisted and scary world of Stephen King. In today's video, we'll dig through a character, an unsung hero and one of the main protagonists of the epic universe of It. Okay, no more suspense. I mean, the title's already given it away. We'll be talking about the last member of the Losers Club and the keeper of Derry's dark secret, Mike Hanlon. From his origins in the novel to his portrayals in the 1990 miniseries and the blockbuster films, we'll uncover what makes Mike such a vital character, and why his story resonates so deeply. We hope you're ready to immerse yourself in the fog of Derry and meet Mike Hanlon. Before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin. Who is Mike Hanlon? Remember the Losers Club in the movie It? Mike Hanlon is one of the 7 members of the Losers Club. He's one of the misfits who come together to form an unbreakable alliance against the ancient evil known as Pennywise in Stephen King's It. But his struggle never really started when Pennywise came into the picture. It began with him being black. He was the only black kid in Derry, Maine, which pretty much explains how the guy is haunted by both the prejudice rotting the town and the dark clouds of Pennywise, with no way to escape it all. Mike Hanlon was born in 1946, according to the novel. Growing up with racism and the evil forces catching up to him makes him resilient and such a strong character. Truly a driving force of the Losers Club. I mean, he's the one who stayed behind as the other members of the Losers Club moved on with their lives. As a historian and a watchman fueled by his keen interest in Derry's history, anchored by his father Will Hanlon, he's a keeper of the curse that runs through Derry's sewage. There's no doubt about the fact that he is courageous and intellectual beyond his years. Let's start with a little history. Mike was born to Will and Jessica Hanlon. In the 2017 film, Mike Hanlon gives away a little part of his past. He tells the Losers Club that he lost his parents in a fire. He used to live with his parents in a house on Harris Avenue. When the fire broke out, he survived, but his parents were trapped in the next room. Since then, he's been living with his grandfather and his pet dog, Mr. Chip. He goes to Neibolt Street Church School, honoring his mother's legacy, as his mother was a Baptist. As he was growing up, he was often targeted by Henry Bowers. Henry Bowers' hatred toward Mike Hanlon was rooted in his father's racism toward Mike Hanlon's father, Will. To give you a little measure of Henry's hatred, let us tell you about a horrific stunt that Henry pulled. He poisoned Mr. Chip, Mike's pet. His feelings toward Mike were so vicious that he gave rat poison to the dog. Mike Hanlon starts getting a little confidence and strength with the arrival of the Losers Club in his life. They save him from Henry Bowers by starting a rock fight in the Barrens. This moment cemented his place in the Losers Club, and Henry gets a little cautious now, because he's not against 1, but 7 underdogs. Mike Hanlon in the novel. In Stephen King's 1989 novel, Mike Hanlon is the heart and memory of the Losers Club. In the novel, Mike first encounters Pennywise in 1958, when his age was around 12. For Mike, it was no different. He encountered Pennywise at Kitchener Ironworks where he used to work. He had a memory of getting pecked by a crow when he was 6 months old, and Pennywise used this particular memory. Mike Hanlon saw a huge bird trying to peck him again. He didn't give way to the trance. Instead, he hid in the smokestack, barely escaping the huge creature's claws. We think that Mike's father, Will Hanlon, was the indispensable catalyst in Mike being the person he is. Will Hanlon was the key influence. Being a farmer and former soldier, he often shared stories of evil living among them. The stories included the burning of the Black Spot, among others. The Black Spot, as the name suggests, was a jazz club for black soldiers which was burned down by white supremacists. Will Hanlon even kept a scrapbook of photos and clippings. This scrapbook becomes Mike's obsession, marking his role as the group's historian. Through these clippings and his time at the library, he learns about all the tragedies that have taken place in Derry. To name a few, the Ironworks explosion tragedy and the child murders. One very important discovery he made related to child murders was that it happened in a cycle of 27 years, coinciding with Pennywise's appearance. Not only that, Mike Hanlon is also very dutiful. After the first battle with Pennywise, everyone moves on with their lives and forgets their childhood trauma. But not Mike. He stayed behind. He worked as a head librarian at Derry's library. He becomes the lighthouse keeper, keeping a close eye on the return of Pennywise. The members of the Losers Club made an oath after the first battle that they would come back together and fight Pennywise again, when he would eventually return in 27 years. When the child murders started again, Mike called everyone back to Derry, fulfilling their childhood oath. Smart intellect doesn't keep you away from harm for long. The same was the case with Mike as well. Tragically, Mike gets nearly killed when Henry stabs him in the leg. Yes, Henry. He escapes from the asylum, and Mike gets hospitalized. But he isn't safe yet. He's attacked again, while he was at the hospital by the nurse. The nurse had no beef, she was under the influence of Pennywise. Brave Mike fights her off. Although Mike was not in the final battle in the sewers physically because he was injured, he still had a huge part to play in the victory of the losers through his research and courage. Mike Hanlon in the 1990 miniseries. The 1990 It miniseries was directed by Tommy Lee Wallace. The role of Mike Hanlon was played by two actors, Marlon Taylor as young Mike, and Tim Reed as the adult Mike Hanlon. This adaptation was very close to the novel. Mike Hanlon was again the only black kid in Derry. He was again facing terrors on both fronts, through Pennywise and through the town's racist prejudice. But there was one scene that stood out, which was not part of the novel. In that scene, Mike was being bullied by Henry and the boys, but the situation was interrupted by an adult. Another change in the miniseries was the living situation. In the miniseries, Mike lives with his parents on a farm. They inherited the farm from Mike's grandfather. Mike, being terrorized by the huge bird, remains the same in the miniseries. Henry being a pain in the ass also didn't change here for Mike, but he still meets the losers and joins their club after they rescue him from Henry and his gang. As an adult, Tom Reed played Mike as a calm and reflective librarian who stayed back as an anchor for the losers, carefully keeping watch over Derry. As soon as the killings resurfaced, he alerted the losers to unite against evil. The Black Spot story is not given much importance, it's only briefly mentioned. The attack by Henry after he escapes the asylum and the nurse trying to kill Mike are included as mentioned in the novel, but Mike's role is simplified. Tim Reed got special recognition for the way he brought Mike on screen. It was a fresh and strong performance.
The Shakapiwa. All living things must abide by the laws of the shape they inherit.
Mike Hanlon in the movies. In the movies, directed by Andy Muschietti in 2017 and 2019, the character of young Mike Hanlon is played by Chosen Jacobs, and adult Mike Hanlon by Isaiah Mustafa. These movies take a different approach to Mike Hanlon's character, making significant changes in Mike's backstory. In the first It movie released in 2017, the movie is set in 1989. In this movie, Mike's parents are dead. They died in a house fire, the same as the novel, but this memory becomes Mike's deepest fear. Pennywise uses this memory to bully and scare him. Pennywise creates an illusion of his parents burning and pounding on the closed door for help. Worst fear come to life, right? Mike grew up on a sheep farm, raised by his grandfather. He's forced to slaughter animals with a bolt gun every day. He uses this same bolt gun against Pennywise. The movie strips away the best of Mike Hanlon. Like in the novel, he was the researcher of Derry's history for the group, but it's all taken away by the character of Ben Hanscorn. All this makes Mike's character a bit sidelined. Even the racism faced in Derry is downplayed. Henley's bullying is generalized rather than being explicitly racial like in the novel. This softened the impact of Mike's struggles, being a black kid in a small prejudiced town, making it look very bland. Even the fans were not on board because what they did to his character didn't land well with them. In the second movie, It Chapter 2, released in 2019, the timeline is 2016, and Mike's character feels like a wreck. He's struggling with the trauma of being left behind in Derry. He's a librarian here, like in the book. The director made him look like a librarian junkie. Another very sad and distinct change in the movie was that the movie suggested that Mike's parents were drug addicts, which took away the whole loving and stable family tag from the Hanlon family. A very harmful stereotype from the creators, right? They do try to undo it, though, by putting a scene where it's shown that Pennywise fabricated the whole drug addict narrative, but that doesn't undo the damage which has already been done to the movie. It wasn't all bad, though. There was a step up, too. In the movie, Mike has a bigger role in the final battle. He leads the losers into Pennywise's lair, which is honestly much better than the hospitalized Mike version. Mike Hanlon in Stephen King's wider mythos. Mike Hanlon's presence in Stephen King's universe is not boxed within the It franchise. It extends beyond the It multiverse. Stephen King uses Derry, Maine repeatedly in his stories, and Mike is tied to Derry's dark legacy. Like in Insomnia, another novel by Stephen King, which came out in 1994, Mike Hanlon appears as a head librarian. Also set in Derry, Maine, Mike is the head librarian of Derry Library, and helps the main protagonist of the novel, Ralph Roberts, find a book on sleep disorders. It's not much, but it establishes Mike Hanlon as Derry's legacy keeper or knowledge keeper. In another book, 11/22/63, Jake Epping visits Derry and meets young Beverly and Richie, with Mike indirectly being talked about as the library kid. In another reference, he's also mentioned in Dreamcatcher, tying him tightly to Derry's cursed history. His roles are brief, they're small, often just a name drop, but his role as a black kid fighting evil in a haunted town speaks volumes. Fans also had a problem with this, because characters like him and Dick Halloran from The Shining, who also, by the way, saves Mike's father from the Black Spot fire, are often sidelined. Fans speculate that their characters have been reduced to being a wise black figure guiding white protagonists into heroism. Marvelous verdict. That's all from our side for Mike Hanlon. We think he's a hero and should be celebrated more than he's being celebrated. What's your take on his character? Do you think the movie Mike Hanlon does justice to the novel Mike Hanlon, or is the movie Mike better than the novel? Until then, keep your drains closed, take yourself to the library to become Mike Smart, and don't let Pennywise take over your brain. If you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one and be safe. Thanks, everyone.